Okay, so literally wanted to make this video, a really quick video going through exactly how to run your OnlyFans page going into 2026, because it's going to be a little bit different to previous years. The first thing that you want to, and then one of the most important things is going to be your marketing. So your marketing. One of the first things that you want to be focusing on when it comes to your marketing, as opposed to previous years, is we don't want to be spreading ourselves too thin, and we want to focus on 1 to 2 social media profiles and 1 to 2 platforms. The reason why we want to focus on 1 to 2 profiles is because when it comes to organic social media, especially in 2026 where AI models are going to be flooding the space, it's very important that we're going to build that parasocial relationship and that personal brand, and we're not going to be able to achieve that by promoting ourselves across 50 or 100 accounts, because it's just too much work to be able to promote yourselves across it, and you're going to have to have a more generalized approach when you are trying to promote yourselves across that many accounts. Whereas when it comes to 1 to 2 profiles, you can really hunker down on building that personal brand and that, getting that personality across in your videos. When it comes to marketing is not over sexualizing. Is not over sexualizing your content. Okay. When you over sexualize your content, you're just going to deal with a lot of bans. Instagram is hunkering down, especially when it comes to the new year, in their sexualized content, right? Especially if you're starting a new Instagram page, it's very, very strict. Obviously, the older your pages, the easier it's going to be to, get away with this sexualized content. However, with new pages and just pages in general, they're flagging a lot of content. So it's very important that you don't over sexualize your content. And a benefit to not over sexualizing your content is being able to actually sell more in your back-end systems, because these guys haven't actually seen anything when it comes to your social media. So when it comes to them actually converting over to your page, they're more likely to spend more to see even just the smallest show of things. The next thing I want to focus on is that views doesn't always necessarily equal subs. Okay, there's a lot of videos on your feed that you'll look at that have a lot of views. However, they actually probably won't be converting many subscribers over to their page, as opposed to someone who is doing less views, but their target audience is specific to their content and converting over to their page. A good way to know converting over to their page is look at their comments. Right, have a look at their comments. Is their comments, Indian, Arabic, not even English? Is a lot of their profile pictures like Indian, right? If this is a lot of their comments, you know that their audience isn't necessarily something that you want to be replicating when it comes to, inspiration for you and your personal brand, right? Their content wouldn't necessarily be converting over to their OnlyFans page. And if it is, their average spend per fan would be quite significantly lower than someone who's promoting themselves to a tier 1 country. Okay, so anytime you're looking at content to replicate in a personal brand to get inspiration from, look at their comments on their videos. It kind of gives you a good gauge as to sort of where their content is getting pushed to. Okay, the next one I obviously want to be talking about is your chatting and how it's going to be different going into 2026 as opposed to previous years. Obviously, I could say about your chatting and how you need scripts, and ideally you want 24/7 chatting on your account, and you want to be posting, one feed post to your main wall, and I could state all these generic things that most YouTube videos are about. However, I just want to state a couple points that you should be incorporating on your chatting side that maybe you're not incorporating either at all, or you need to be incorporating more of. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about was using GIFs. Apologies for my writing, but utilizing GIFs allows you to actually build more of a relationship with these subscribers, create sort of that human interaction, because you can use it in various forms. You can use it in ways to make them laugh, you can use it in ways to show your love for them. So utilizing GIFs just makes it interesting and spices up the conversation more. The next thing that you want to be doing is look at their profile, right? Anytime someone subscribes to your page, I know you've probably dealt with this in the past, or you're currently dealing with this, is when someone joins your page and you send them, your welcome message or an automatic welcome message, and they just ghost you and they don't respond to you. They are probably subscribed to another 10 other girls, and so you need to be looking at their profile And more often than not, 90% of the time, they've actually written a bio or they have a profile picture or a banner that you can look at and start a conversation based off that, right? A lot of the times they'll write, you know, in their bio, like Matt, 35, and I like, I'm a construction worker. And then you might see in their banner, it'll be them like fishing. And then you can, instead of just, you know, sending out a generic welcome message that every other creator does, you can actually start a conversation based off of the fact that you've actually had a look at their profile, and more often than not, they're more likely to respond to that first message, right? So you could state something about, you know, is our first date going to be a fishing trip then, question mark, right? And this is spark curiosity in them, and they're actually more likely to respond because they feel like they're actually talking to a human. That goes on to my next point, is having a verification folder. Okay, a verification folder is literally, if you are a model and you don't want to be chatting, you want to have a chat on your account, and you want to make sure that you know, have that authenticity on your page, what you want to do is set up a verification folder where you have, you know, a picture of you holding up one of each finger. So you'll have a picture of you holding up, you know, one finger, 2, 3, 4, etc. And you also want to have a voice note attached to that where you are stating, like, you know, something like, don't you believe I'm real? So that anytime someone who joins a page and they don't have that sort of belief that they think you're real, because, you know, they know that most pages, they don't have, you know, they have chatters on their account, then you can, you know, send that voice note saying, don't you think I'm real? Ask me to send you a picture of, you know, any sort of number of fingers that you want me to hold up. And then obviously they'll state, you know, any sort of number of fingers they want you to hold up, and then you'll be able to associate a picture with that, so then they think that they're actually talking to you then and there. Those are a couple of just some points that I want to go through when it comes to the chatting and the marketing that maybe you haven't heard before, and that sort of goes through how to actually run your profile when it comes to 2026. The main thing that kind of incorporates that whole thing is making sure that you're precise and you're not spreading yourself too thin when it comes to your overall page and marketing. We want to make sure that we're building that personal brand, because you can have, you know, one Instagram account and you can be making $1 million a month just off having, you know, one Instagram account, one funnel, one OnlyFans page, right? You can't just put a mask over something. You really need to hunker down and learn the skills of organic marketing and stick with it and stay consistent with it. You'd rather make 50 inches of progress on one account than make 1 inch of progress on 50 accounts.